If you want to grow and change your life, the first thing you must confront is a truth that many people spend years avoiding. No one is coming to save you. No one is obligated to step in at the perfect moment and hand you the life you imagine. Waiting for help feels reasonable because it postpones risk and responsibility. It gives comfort without demanding courage. But waiting has a hidden cost. While you wait, time continues to move. Opportunities quietly pass, and your potential slowly hardens into regret. Real change never begins with someone else's action. It begins with your own decision to stop delaying your progress. Growth demands ownership, and ownership begins the moment you stop waiting for permission. When you rely on others to initiate your improvement, you surrender control of your direction. You may hope deeply and plan endlessly, but hope without action produces nothing. Action is the only language progress understands. Waiting often disguises itself as preparation. You tell yourself you are gathering information, waiting for clarity, or seeking the right conditions. In reality, clarity comes from movement, not stillness. Confidence is not something you discover before acting. It is something you build through action. Every step forward, even a flawed one, teaches you more than weeks of hesitation ever could. When you delay action, you teach your mind that fear deserves authority. Over time, fear becomes louder and initiative becomes weaker. The habit of waiting trains dependence. The habit of working builds independence. Independence does not mean refusing help. It means not needing help to begin. When you act first, help often follows. When you wait first, help rarely comes. History offers countless examples of this truth, but few are as striking as the life of Admiral Thomas Cochrane, born in 1775. Cochrane was one of the most daring naval commanders in history, not because he had superior resources, but because he refused to wait for ideal conditions. In the British Royal Navy, he often commanded ships that were smaller, weaker, and outnumbered. Conventional wisdom would have advised caution, delay, or retreat. Cochrane chose action. He studied his enemies carefully, trusted his preparation, and attacked when others hesitated. His victories were not accidents. They were the result of initiative applied with discipline. He understood that waiting for advantage often means surrendering it. In both war and life, momentum belongs to those who move first with purpose. Cochrane's courage was not reckless. It was calculated. He accepted responsibility for outcomes rather than outsourcing blame to circumstances. That mindset is essential for anyone who wants real change. When you take responsibility, you reclaim power. You stop asking who will help you and start asking what you can do. That shift changes everything. Your problems do not disappear, but they become manageable. Obstacles turn into challenges instead of excuses. You begin to see options where you once saw limitations. Waiting narrows your vision. Action expands it. Many people remain stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they postpone commitment. They wait for confidence, support, or validation. But validation comes after effort, not before it. Cochrane did not wait to be believed in. He forced belief through results. In your own life, results may come slowly, but they come only if you begin. Every meaningful transformation starts with an imperfect step taken without guarantees. The decision to stop waiting is rarely dramatic. It is quiet and personal. It is the moment you decide that your future matters enough to act today. That decision, repeated daily, is how lives change. Admiral Cochrane's story becomes even more powerful when you look beyond his victories and examine the resistance he faced. Despite his success, he was often criticized, opposed, and eventually sidelined by political forces within Britain. His independence made powerful enemies. Many people, when confronted with rejection or injustice, choose to wait. They wait for fairness, for recognition, or for someone to correct the system. Cochrane refused to remain still. When his career stalled in Britain, he did not retreat into bitterness or self-pity. He redirected his energy. He offered his skills to nations fighting for independence, including Chile, Brazil, and Greece. These countries lacked strong navies, resources, and organization. Most leaders would have waited for better conditions before committing. Cochrane stepped into uncertainty and created effectiveness through action. This chapter of his life carries an important lesson. When your environment no longer supports your growth, waiting for it to change can cost you years. Movement creates new paths. Cochrane did not ask whether these nations were ready for him. He asked what he could build with what was available. He trained crews, restructured fleets, and applied innovative tactics that transformed weak forces into effective navies. His success abroad proved that initiative is portable. When you rely on your own effort, you are not limited by location, approval, or circumstance. You carry your capability with you. In personal life, many people feel trapped because their efforts are not recognized where they are. They wait for someone to notice their value. Meanwhile, frustration grows and motivation fades. Cochrane's example shows that value is demonstrated, not requested. If your work is not appreciated, waiting rarely changes that reality. Action elsewhere often does. Growth requires adaptability. When one door closes, standing in front of it and hoping rarely opens it again. Movement toward a new direction creates new doors. There is also a psychological transformation that happens when you stop waiting for help. You begin to trust yourself. You stop measuring your readiness by other people's opinions. This self-trust does not come from positive thinking. It comes from experience. Every action you take reinforces your belief in your own capability. Mistakes become lessons instead of verdicts. Fear loses authority because you are no longer negotiating with it. You act despite it. Cochrane was not fearless. He understood risk better than most. His courage came from preparation and decisiveness, not from the absence of fear. In life, fear is not eliminated by waiting. It is reduced by engagement. Waiting also creates the illusion that time is neutral. In reality, time is directional. It moves forward whether you act or not. Skills weaken without use. Opportunities expire. Energy fades. Action keeps you aligned with your potential. Cochrane kept his crews active, trained, and mentally prepared. That readiness made the difference in battle. In your own journey, daily effort keeps your ambition alive. Even small actions maintain momentum. Waiting disconnects you from your purpose. Working reconnects you. Another lesson from Cochrane's life is that help often arrives after initiative. His reputation attracted allies and support once his effectiveness became visible. People are drawn to those who move with clarity and commitment. In your life, support often follows consistency. When others see that you are serious, resilient, and disciplined, they are more likely to assist. Waiting for help before acting reverses the natural order. Act first, let effort speak. Even if help never comes, you gain strength, skill, and self-respect. Those rewards are permanent. There is a moment in every life when waiting becomes more painful than action. It often arrives quietly, disguised as dissatisfaction or restlessness. You sense that you are capable more, yet nothing changes. This is where many people remain stuck for years. Admiral Cochrane never confused comfort with safety. He understood that inaction carried its own dangers. In war, waiting allowed enemies to regroup and strengthen. In life, waiting allows doubt and regret to grow. Action, even uncertain action, expands possibilities. When you move, you create feedback. You learn what works and what does not. That learning shapes your next step. Waiting offers no feedback. It leaves you guessing. Real change is rarely dramatic. It is the accumulation of small, consistent efforts applied without applause. When you stop waiting for someone else to initiate your progress, discipline replaces motivation. You act because it is necessary, not because it feels easy. Cochrane's success was built on preparation and repetition. He studied conditions, trained relentlessly, and executed plans consistently. That discipline produced extraordinary results. In your life, consistency matters more than intensity. Small actions repeated daily outperform grand intentions delayed indefinitely. Self-driven effort also brings mental peace. When your progress depends on others, disappointment becomes frequent. Expectations go unmet. Resentment builds. When your progress depends on your own effort, satisfaction comes from knowing you acted fully. Even when outcomes fall short, effort provides closure. You know you did not waste time waiting. That knowledge strengthens inner stability. Cochrane faced controversy, exile, and criticism, yet he remained purposeful because his identity was rooted in action, not approval. Stopping the habit of waiting reshapes your relationship with fear. Fear thrives in imagination and in activity. Action replaces imagination with experience. Many fears dissolve once confronted directly. You realize that progress is rarely as catastrophic as your mind predicts. Each step weakens fear's influence. Cochrane reduced danger by understanding and confronting it, not by avoiding it. In life, courage grows through engagement. Ultimately, the message is simple and demanding. If your life depends on someone else's help, your growth remains fragile. If it depends on your own effort, it becomes resilient. Help can enhance your journey, but it cannot replace your responsibility. Admiral Thomas Cochrane's life proves that decisive action under imperfect conditions can reshape destiny. He did not wait for ideal circumstances to validate his worth. He validated his worth through action. Your life may not involve naval battles, but the stakes are just as real. Time, potential, and purpose are at risk. The day you stop waiting and start working is the day your future begins to respond. Growth listens only to effort. Change answers only to action.